This is Eric with Astrology for Awakening. The question today is astrology spiritual? And the answer is, it depends. So what does it depend on? It depends on primarily our attitude and our intention. Here's a true story about a dear friend of mine who was traveling to holy sites in India and came to the sacred city of Varanasi where the Ganga runs through. And he was sitting early in the morning as the sun is rising with his guide, watching three men who were immersed in the river, performing the morning ritual, chanting and purifying as the sun rises. And he said to his guide, "How beautiful it is to see these three practicing such a holy ritual." "Oh no," the guide responded, "they are not all doing so, for I know each of these three men. Let me tell you, that one is doing the practice because his father will not provide him with his stipend or his inheritance if he doesn't appear to be religious. And for him, this whole ritual is a mechanical and a meaningless act that he's performing simply to avoid losing what he wants to keep." And that second man is trying to impress a woman who herself is authentically religious and inclined toward spirituality and will only consider him if he is seen to be performing this ritual. For him, the ritual is a means to an end to get the woman he desires. Now that third one there, that man is a yogi. He doesn't look like it, but he is inwardly a yogi, for he recognizes the true inner esoteric meaning of the ritual, and he is wholeheartedly performing the sacrament. For him, the ritual is a way of communing with Savitur, the light of the sun, within and without, in order for himself to become a purified vehicle to bring that light to the world. Three men, one ritual, three different attitudes and intentions for the performance, for the engagement. And this can happen with anything, with any kind of study. And certainly it can happen with astrology. For when we're examining the birth chart or when we're looking at the current aspects, the question is, what is our attitude? What is our intention? Are we engaged in an effort to protect or enhance our status in some way? Is it about getting more of what we want and avoiding or protecting ourselves from what we do not want? If we look at much of the astrological writings and narratives and teachings that we find on the podcasts or the blogs these days, and truly if we look through history, it seems to be that is the primary attitude and intent. And fair enough, it's fair, because there's nothing wrong with seeking more of what you want or minimizing what you don't. We are all doing it. We are all doing it all the time. Applied to astrology, it produces a kind of Darwinian flavored astrology that is trying to perpetuate or enhance me, which is why the underlying question that much of astrological teaching is about and is focused on is, what is going to happen to me? Which brings us to this question: is astrology spiritual? And for astrology to be spiritual, I believe that we need to start with a different question, not the question, what will happen to me? Because really, if we look spiritually at the wisdom traditions around the world, they are all very clear about what is going to happen to me and what's going to happen to you. And they say it's two main things that are going to happen. One is, what's going to happen is more of what's been happening, more of the same. Particularly true if we've been focusing our attention, our energies on protecting and enhancing the me in the midst of life's inevitable ups and downs, then we have built a habit, a pattern that will continue and that we can predict without the chart. We can predict the future will have reruns of the past, thoughts, emotions, based on the attitude of what I can do to protect me, the struggle to enhance and safeguard me. More of the same. And the other thing that will happen, absolutely, and you don't have to be a sage to know this, is that we're going to die, that the me that we're focused on will die. So in the light of these two understandings, we can consider then what would make astrology spiritual. And I'm going to quote a great teacher, Parker Palmer, who is not an astrologer by any means, and he wrote, "Before I can tell my life what I want to do with it, I must listen to my life telling me who I am." And the key word is listening. Listening. This listening attitude is the essence and the entrance into spiritual astrology. It's not what will happen to me, it's what is life with a capital L, the cosmos as reflected in the astrology, trying to tell you for you and me for me. And are we listening? Because the message is being repeated endlessly. It's being reflected in every aspect, in every turning of the wheel. It's in your chart, it's in your progressions, it's in the transits, it's in the solar arcs, it's in the dashas. It's whatever system of astrology you're using. The message is trying to be brought to you about how to awaken to your true life, which is beyond protecting or enhancing the little me. But we cannot hear that message if our ears are filled with the noise of what will happen to me. So we need to quiet down and we need to listen and attune. And then astrology can become a spiritual practice that with practice frees us from the contracted and self-referenced and fear-based focus on what will happen to me, because we already know the answer. And instead, open us up to receive guidance of a deeper kind. Not self-protective guidance, but self-transcending wisdom. Not how to get more or protect against less, but integrative insights that connect us with the deep resources, the soul deep resources that are already present within us. So your chart and every astrological aspects, I can think of it as a dharma door, an opening, an invitation that's coming from the heart of the cosmos to you, into your heart, and is asking you, asking me, asking us to let go, loosen the grip on that conditioned self-sense, relax more and more into the essential spirit soul that you are, a spirit soul that is as vast as the sky, as radiant as the sun, as profound and wondrous as life itself. You're part of life, not apart from life in any way. That's what astrology is saying. So is astrology spiritual? It depends on how we approach it. And it really does depend on us. We get to choose that approach. The universe is infinitely patient, and it is endlessly, relentlessly, continuously opening Dharma doors, moment by moment, with every click of the wheel, with every turn, with every nuance, with every aspect. The universe is inviting us to enter in to that self-revelation of radiance. Now, in his beautiful and actually hilarious poem called Retrograde, the poet Alfred Lamott has a bunch of insights, but I'm going to pick up just on these 3 lines where he says, 7 billion birth charts singing the same chorus. You are made of light. 7 billion birth charts singing the same chorus. You are made of light. When we recognize this, when we embody this, when we express this, then our astrology will be spiritual. When we accept this and we allow that light to be infused into every cell of our body, every petal of our mind, through the emissaries of our birth chart, then we can, as beings of light, radiate that radiance out through the chart and become a healing presence, a spiritual presence in our world. Astrology is spiritual if we have that essential attitude and intent.